On Christmas, my parents slammed the door in my 10-year-old son's face. "This year's just for family," my mom said. He walked home alone, carrying a bag full of gifts he'd bought with his own allowance. When I found out, I didn't yell. I just made some quietly. 3 hours later they were calling me non-stop. I was still in the hospital on Christmas morning when the nanny called. I'd been there for 3 days, getting fluids and medication through and 4 after a bad allergic reaction knocked me flat. It wasn't anything life-threatening, but serious enough that the doctors wouldn't let me leave until the swelling had gone down and the tests came back clean. I'd expected to be discharged the next day, maybe the day after. I was already feeling guilty enough not being home with Tyler, but we'd made the best of it. The nanny was reliable. I left her a list of activities and Tyler had insisted he'd be fine. He was mostly excited to deliver the presents he'd bought. So when the nanny called me that morning, I figured it was just a check-in. She started slowly, like she wasn't sure how to say it. She said Tyler had gotten dressed in his Christmas sweater, packed up the bag of gifts he'd wrapped himself, and asked her if she could take him to my parents' house. I'd already told her it was fine. They only lived a few blocks away. She waited outside in the car while he ran up to the door. And then she said, "I think something went wrong." My mom opened the door. Tyler was smiling, holding the bag. He told her Merry Christmas and started saying he had gifts for everyone. And my mom looked at him standing on her porch in the freezing cold and told him this year was just for family. Then she shut the door. I thought I'd misheard her. I even asked her to repeat it. He stood there for a few seconds, then came back to the car. He didn't say much on the way back. Just clutched the bag the whole time. 10 minutes later he walked into my hospital room with the nanny behind him. His cheeks were pink from the cold and he looked confused, like he was still trying to process it. He handed me the bag and said Grandma didn't want company. That's all he said. The bag was full. Little gifts he'd picked out himself. For everyone. He had something for my mom, my dad, my brother's wife, even their kids. Each one was wrapped in crinkled red paper with his handwriting on every tag. I sat there for a while watching him play a game on my tablet. I didn't call them. I didn't text. There was no yelling. No crying. Just a kind of cold clarity I hadn't felt in a long time. 3 hours later I picked up my phone and sent one message. "I won't be covering Nick's rent anymore." No explanation. No threats. Just one sentence. The first call came in 3 minutes later. Then another. And another. I didn't answer. I just put my phone on Do Not Disturb and turned it face down on the side table. A month earlier they'd come to me in a panic. My brother, Nick, was about to be evicted. He was 2 months behind on rent. He and his wife were going through something, though no one explained what that meant. They said it would ruin his kids' Christmas if they had to move. They didn't ask me. They begged. I didn't want to do it, but I gave in. Paid the back rent, then set up automatic monthly payments. They said it would only be for a few months. I'd spent more on their problems in the last year than I had on myself. And now their grandson, who did nothing wrong, shows up with a bag of gifts and they tell him he's not family? I hit the nurse call button. When she walked in, I told her I wanted to be discharged early. She hesitated, asked if I was sure. I said yes. I got dressed, signed the forms and left. The nurse offered to call a cab, but I waved her off. The nanny was still there waiting in the hallway with Tyler. She looked nervous. Tyler looked like he was trying not to ask what was happening. I thanked her, paid her for the day, then told her she could go home. I took the car keys from her hand and walked out with my son. We weren't going home. Not yet. We were going to my parents' house. We didn't say much on the drive. Tyler was quiet in the passenger seat, holding the bag of gifts between his feet like it was something fragile. He kept glancing out the window, probably wondering what I was going to do. I didn't tell him. I wasn't sure myself until I pulled up to my parents' house and saw all the cars in the driveway. Nick's SUV. My dad's truck. My brother's in-law's car. So much for an intimate Christmas. The front lawn was over-decorated like always, plastic candy canes lining the walkway, inflatable Santa and snowman slumped against each other, that ridiculous glowing reindeer with one antler half deflated. You'd think it was a house full of warmth and welcome. I parked across the street and told Tyler we were going in just for a minute. He didn't ask why. He just said okay and got out with me. I knocked once. My mom opened the door, smiling at first like she expected someone else. Then she saw us. The smile vanished. She asked what we were doing there. I said we needed to talk. Her eyes flicked down to Tyler, then back to me. She didn't invite us in. She didn't even open the door wider. I stepped past her anyway, told Tyler to wait just inside. The living room was full of wrapping paper, plates of half-eaten cookies, and the sounds of my brother's kids shouting somewhere down the hall. My dad came in from the kitchen, a drink in his hand, and gave me the same surprised, vaguely annoyed look. I asked why they told my son to go home. My mom looked uncomfortable for a split second, then said they didn't know he was coming. That they'd planned to keep it just family this year. Her voice was sharp and quick, like she was trying to move past it. I asked if Nick's in-laws were part of that definition. She looked away. My dad said Tyler shouldn't have just shown up unannounced. That it put them in an awkward position. He said the nanny should have asked first. I reminded him Tyler is 10 years old. 10. And he came with a bag full of gifts. My mom started going on about how they didn't want to hurt his feelings, but things had been stressful lately, and they weren't expecting company. She said it wasn't personal. I asked her what part of slamming a door in a child's face isn't personal. Then she asked me, like she hadn't just said all that, if I was really going to stop paying Nick's rent. I told her it was already done. The text went out hours ago. The room went quiet. Then my dad stepped in, trying to keep control of the conversation. He asked me if I'd really thought this through, if I understood what this would do to Nick's family. I said I understood perfectly. Nick finally showed up then, all righteous indignation, asking how I could do this on Christmas. Said I'd promised to help. Said his kids would suffer. Not once did he ask if Tyler was okay. Not once did he say sorry. My mom started raising her voice, saying that family supports each other, that they helped me when I needed it. That this was cruel. I said leaving a 10-year-old on the porch in the cold was cruel. She said I was being overdramatic. That I always twist things. That I'd turn anything into a reason to play the victim. My dad told me I needed to stop and think about what I was doing. He said I was punishing the wrong people. I looked over at Tyler. He was still standing by the door, holding the bag with both hands. He hadn't moved. That was enough. I said we were done here. I turned to Tyler and asked if he was ready to go. He nodded. We walked out without saying another word. Back in the car, I asked him if he still wanted to deliver the presents. He said no. He just wanted to go home. Then after a pause, he asked if they were still our family. I told him we were still a family. Just us. That's more than enough. We spent the rest of Christmas trying to pretend it hadn't happened. Tyler didn't want to talk about it, and I didn't push him. I made pancakes for dinner, the kind with chocolate chips shaped like snowmen, and we sat on the couch watching a movie we'd both seen 100 times. I kept glancing over at him, waiting for the tears, the questions, the confusion. But they didn't come. Not then. He just leaned against me and stayed quiet. I didn't check my phone until after he fell asleep. That's when I saw the wall of messages. First from my mom. Then my dad. The first few were frantic. What do you mean you're not covering his rent anymore? Jessica, this is not the time for games. This is Christmas. We need to talk. No. Then came the guilt. He's your brother. He has kids. You don't understand how hard things are for him. We've always supported each other as a family. Think of what we've done for you. Think about how we helped when you were struggling. And finally, the anger. You're making this all about you. It's cruel what you're doing. Tyler didn't need to show up unannounced like that. This is your fault, not ours. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb again and left it face down on the nightstand. I didn't respond. There was nothing to say that I hadn't already said by walking away. The next day my dad left a voicemail. I didn't answer, but I listened. He said they were disappointed in how I was handling things, that I was overreacting emotionally, and using Tyler as a weapon. And then right at the end he said the line they always fall back on. We helped you when you needed it. Don't forget that. There was the transmission. 4 years ago my SUV broke down during the worst possible month. Tyler had just ended up in urgent care from a bad fall at school, and the bills from that alone wiped me out. When the mechanic told me the repair would cost $3,000, I nearly cried on the spot. My parents offered to help and I let them. I thanked them 1,000 times. But they never let it go. Never. From that moment on, it became a quiet contract I hadn't signed. Every time Nick messed up I got a call. Every time my parents overspent, it was me who got the guilt trip. Anytime I said no they reminded me. Not always directly. Sometimes just a well-timed comment. Sometimes a look. Like I owed them. Forever. What made it worse was that I had already given so much more. Rent. Groceries. Bills. Nick's car note once when he forgot he had auto pay off. I'd Venmo'd him hundreds of dollars, just until Friday, more times than I could count. My parents knew about all of it. They encouraged it. Said I was helping keep the family together. I sat at the kitchen table that night with my laptop, pulled up every bank statement I had and went through everything. Every dollar I'd sent Nick. Every time I'd paid a bill for my parents. Every time I'd bailed them out of something. It took almost 3 hours. The total made my stomach drop. Over $18,000 in the last 2 years alone. And that didn't count the $1,200 Christmas bonus I'd used to cover Nick's rent last month. I added $3,000 to that total. For the transmission. Just to be sure. Then I logged into my bank account and scheduled a transfer for exactly $3,000 to my parents' account. No more. No less. In the memo line I typed, for the transmission. Or even, then I hit send. No follow-up. No explanation. Nothing else. I expected the explosion, but it didn't come that night. Or the next day. Radio silence. That worried me more than anything. It meant they were regrouping, figuring out what angle to come at me from next. I knew Nick was probably blowing up their phones, whining about his rent, his kids, how he'd counted on me. And now suddenly I wasn't the safety net anymore. And for the first time in years, that wasn't my problem. They didn't hold anything over me now. Not the transmission. Not what we did for you. Not guilt. I paid it back. All of it. And they had to sit in that. It took 3 days before I heard anything. Long, calculated silence, which, if you know my parents, was the loudest noise they could make. And then finally, like clockwork, a message from my mom. We received the money. That wasn't necessary, but thank you. No warmth. No apology. No mention of Tyler. Just a sterile acknowledgement, like I was some client who'd finally cleared a debt. Then 5 minutes later, as if the first message had been just a setup, came this. So are you planning to resume Nick's rent next month? Or is this still about what happened on Christmas? Still about what happened on Christmas. That line made me stop reading. I actually laughed, but not because it was funny. They thought it was about a single day. A misunderstanding. Like Tyler showing up with a bag full of presents and being turned away wasn't a defining moment for him. And for me, like I should be over it already. I didn't respond. Hours later, my dad tried his hand at it. His message was longer and worse. We know you're hurt, but Nick is in a really fragile place. If anything happens to his family, if they get evicted or worse, it'll be on you. We just hope you'll do the right thing. On you. Just like that, I was apparently holding the keys to someone else's life. Never mind the fact that Nick is 37, refuses to keep a steady job, and thinks budgeting means calling me when he runs out of money. Never mind that I've helped more than anyone else. Still on me. But then something I didn't expect happened. Nick's wife messaged me. We're not close. We've never been. She's always quiet when I'm around, kind of drifts in and out of conversations, the way people do when they've learned not to take up space. But her message was short and honest. I just want you to know I didn't agree with what they did to Tyler. I told Nick it was wrong. He didn't listen. Then after a pause, also he lied. He told your parents he was behind 1 month. It's actually 3. He hasn't paid rent since October. I reread it 3 times. Thought I misread. They had come to me begging, frantic about him being about to fall behind. But he'd already been drowning. They just didn't want to admit it, not to themselves, not to me. So they wrapped the lie in urgency, guilt-tripped me into rescuing him, and then kicked my son off their porch. I opened my banking app again. The payments I'd made only covered November and December. Nothing before. They'd let October go unpaid and hid it, hoping I'd jump in fast enough to cover the whole hole without asking questions. Because that's what I'd always done. I sat there for a few minutes, staring at the screen, and realized something I hadn't let myself admit before. None of them ever saw Tyler as part of this family. Not really. Not in the way they did Nick's kids. He was tolerated. Welcomed when convenient. But never chosen. Never protected. Then Nick messaged me directly. First time in weeks. You got mom and dad all worked up. Nice job. Real mature. You know this isn't just about me. My kids need a stable home. We were counting on you. Your family. Act like it. And there it was again. That word. Family. That magical word they all weaponize the second they need something. When family means sacrifice, but only yours. When it means pay the bills, cover the mistakes, shut up about the double standards. I didn't respond to him. Instead, I did something else. I forwarded the full message thread. Everything from my parents and now Nick, straight to his wife. I added one line. I'm sorry you're in this mess. But I'm out. For good. She didn't reply immediately. A few hours later, I saw she'd reacted to the message with a thumbs up. Nothing else. But I could read it for what it was. Maybe she understood. Or maybe she was just tired too. Either way, I knew I'd done what I needed to do. They expected me to come crawling back. They thought my guilt would override my son's pain. They thought throwing the word family around like confetti would fix everything. But I'd never felt more certain in my life. They weren't the ones holding power anymore. And the next time something fell apart in their world, they'd have to call someone else. It was a full week before I heard from them again. 7 days of silence, as if they were letting the drama settle before returning to their usual game of guilt-wrapped manipulation. I wasn't expecting an apology at that point. I wasn't even expecting acknowledgement of what they'd done. But I also knew they wouldn't stay quiet forever. That's not who they are. It came as a voice message from my mom. I didn't play it at first. I saw the length, just over 3 minutes, and left it sitting there. I wasn't in the mood to hear excuses or passive-aggressive scolding while Tyler sat next to me building Lego towers. But later that night, after he went to bed, I finally played it. I sat at the kitchen table with a cup of cold coffee and my phone on speaker. She started with a sigh. Then the kind of tone she only used when she was trying to sound reasonable. Smooth, careful, too measured to be real. She said she hoped I'd had time to calm down, and that I wasn't letting emotions ruin something as important as family. Then she slipped in that things got a little out of hand, but we've all made mistakes. And then came the line I knew was coming before she even said it. You know, we've done a lot for you. We've supported you when things were hard. Don't forget that. Then, almost like she couldn't help herself, she added, Nick is doing the best he can. He doesn't have the same opportunities you do. It's not his fault things are harder for him. That part hit harder than anything else. Because I've heard it my entire life. Nick can't help it. Nick's not built like you. Nick needs more patience. More chances. More everything. It never mattered that I was the one who picked up the pieces when he blew through money, skipped rent, ignored bills. It never mattered that I covered those opportunities she thinks I had by working insane hours, sacrificing holidays, and saying no to vacations and new clothes and things other people my age didn't think twice about. I was expected to do it all. Quietly. Gratefully. And Tyler? He was never truly part of the equation. They liked the idea of being grandparents. They liked posting birthday pictures and calling once a month. But when it came to real, uncomfortable moments, showing up, loving him unconditionally, they failed him. And they didn't even see it. They didn't even see it. I didn't respond to her message. I didn't need to. I'd already made my decision and this just solidified it. The next morning I went through everything. I canceled the automatic rent transfer for Nick. I removed my parents' profiles from every account they'd been using. Streaming services, cloud storage, even a grocery delivery app I'd let them stay on after one emergency. I opened my spreadsheet again, the one I'd started when I added up all the money I'd spent over the years. Rent, utilities, groceries, emergencies, the transmission. I stared at that total and realized something important. They weren't just draining my bank account. They were draining my peace. Then I sat down and wrote one final message. Moving forward, I will not be providing any more financial support. This includes Nick, his family, or anything connected to him. I've paid back what I owed. Please do not contact me for money again. If Tyler is not welcome in your home, then neither am I. Simple. Cold. True. I sent it to both of them and turned my phone off. 3 days later, Nick broke the silence. A voicemail. I didn't answer, but I played it while I was brushing my teeth. He sounded like he was barely keeping it together. He said he couldn't believe I was still hung up on what happened, that I'd turned our parents against him, which is hilarious because if anything, they're still treating him like royalty. He said his kids were scared. That rent was past due. That this was going to ruin their lives. Then the kicker. You're lucky mom and dad helped you when you were falling apart. But the second I need help, you run. That was it for me. I sent him one final message. I paid them back. Every dollar. And then some. We're done. Then I blocked his number. And my parents. And their backups. Felt weird at first. I kept checking my phone like I was missing something. Like some invisible thread was supposed to tug me back. But nothing happened. No emergency. No disaster. Just silence. And that silence felt good. That night Tyler and I made a late dinner. Frozen waffles and whipped cream and syrup. He asked if we could put our tiny Christmas tree back up just for fun. I said yes. We decorated it with mismatched ornaments, old candy canes, and a little paper star he made in 2nd grade. Then he looked at me and asked, not sadly, not angrily, just curious, are we not seeing Grandma and Grandpa anymore? I told him we weren't. Not for a while. Maybe not ever. And he just nodded and went back to fixing the crooked star on the top of the tree. I like it better here anyway, he said. So do I. It's been a month now. No texts. No calls. No last-ditch apologies. Just silence. And it's been the most peaceful 30 days I can remember in years. At first I thought I'd feel guilty. I expected to wake up wondering if I'd gone too far, if cutting off my parents and my brother was too drastic. I expected the guilt to sit in my stomach like a weight, reminding me every morning that I'd broken some sacred rule. But it never came. What came instead was a strange kind of freedom. No more late-night calls asking if I could just cover one more thing. No more group texts trying to rally me into some obligation dressed as a family event. No more pretending everything was fine when the resentment had been building for years. It's not just the quiet. It's the clarity. I look around my life now and I don't see chaos that I'm responsible for cleaning up. I see my son. I see our tiny home, not perfect but ours. I see my bank account not being drained by other people's bad decisions. I see weekends that are mine again. The biggest shift, though, has been in how I feel when I think about them. I don't feel anger anymore. Or sadness. Or even betrayal. I just feel done. Like the cord has finally been cut and I'm not bleeding from it. Funny enough, the only update I've gotten about them didn't come from any of them, it came through someone else. An old neighbor texted me last week, completely unrelated, and mentioned she'd run into my mom at the grocery store. Said she looked tired and overwhelmed, said something about Nick staying with them again for a little while. I didn't even ask for more details. I didn't need to. I already knew what the story was. Nick still doesn't have stable income. His wife is probably hanging on by a thread. My parents are likely covering for him again financially and emotionally, and they're probably spinning the story about me being cold or ungrateful to anyone who'll listen. I can picture it word for word. But here's the thing, I don't care. Let them explain my absence however they want. Let them carry Nick's weight until they buckle under it. Let them sit in the mess they refuse to clean up, the one they always expected me to fix. I'm not in it anymore. And for the first time I see the truth clearly. They never helped me because they believed in me. They helped me because they expected to be repaid in loyalty, permanent, unquestioning loyalty. But they got it wrong. I did repay them. Over and over in ways that nearly broke me. So I stopped. I even did one more thing just to make it final. I mailed my parents a receipt. Not a sarcastic one. A real receipt. I printed out a list of every transfer I made. Every rent payment. Every utility bill. Every grocery trip. And at the bottom I wrote, account settled. No remaining balance. Do not contact me for money again. I didn't hear back. I didn't expect to. That wasn't the point. The point was to close the chapter with something that felt real. Final. I'm not angry. I'm not sad. I'm just free. And as for Tyler, he's been thriving. Lighter. More confident. He doesn't ask about them anymore. Not because I told him not to, because I think he understands what I chose. I chose us. And I choose us again. Every time. Sometimes I catch myself wondering what they say about me now. To friends, to extended family, to anyone who asks why I wasn't at Christmas dinner or why I suddenly stopped showing up. I'm sure there's a version of the story where I'm cold, dramatic, maybe even vindictive. Maybe they say I lost my mind. Maybe they tell people I turned my back on my own. But I don't lose sleep over it. Because I know the truth. And more importantly, so does my son. There's this thing we do now, kind of by accident. Every Sunday night we cook something new together. Started because I was trying to teach Tyler a few recipes, but it's turned into our own tradition. Just the two of us. He picks the recipe, I buy the ingredients, and we turn the kitchen into a flour-covered disaster zone. It's messy, loud, full of mistakes, and nobody gets turned away at the door.